Ruslan.
When you were talking about like what do I think is like, am I hopeful for the future of Christianity and stuff? Like one part is yes, and then the other part is like I think a lot of things got to be torn down and changed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this could be probably its whole own conversation, but I really think the future of like church and Christianity in America, if it's going to be authentic, I think it actually has to be really small and not
Hmm.
marketed.
Okay. Tell me more.
Um, it's a couple things. One, I think we have to stop building churches in models of like capitalist models, where they're built off of like basically an entertainer and a face. Because I think what that does is it creates professional Christians. So people that are paid to be Christians publicly. Um, and even as I say this, like some of those places are big churches or places that want to come in and pay me to perform. Like that means they'd be taking money out of my pocket. And so, so I say this with all like sincerity. Like I think if people want to trust Christianity, like trust Jesus and like trust the community, a lot of things have to change because we essentially are running like businesses built off of entities and faces and entertainers that like once they inevitably fall, like 99% of them do and have some big public scandal, tons of people are hurt. And it's it's typically because we didn't teach people how to like be the church. We
Mm-hmm.
taught people how to go to church and just be like a passive observer and consumer and not be like, no, you have gifts. You need to be like uh, participate here too. It's not like we're not just all here to watch this one guy or girl preach and like teach us all how to be professional Christians. Um, I think pastors need to have an off ramp that isn't just scandal. Like, so people should be able to come in and be like, hey, I'm going to serve here. Well, first of all, I don't think anybody should be a pastor until they're at least 30 years old. So
Amen.
100% like do not, that's my opinion. I'm like, y'all want to really be like Jesus, be like him and start ministry at 30
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, but that's one. Two, if you want to not be a pastor anymore, you shouldn't feel the pressure of now I've failed, my church has failed, my identity's wrapped up in having a successful church. Like you should be able to be like, hey, this is my stop, I'm getting off. This was incredible, but I need to transition and change in my life.
Amen.
A lot of people feel stuck and they can't do that. So I think it's because the whole thing is built around one person instead of like the community of people. And then when you have a church that's built off of tithes and offerings and giving, like you won't say things because you don't want to offend or piss off people that pay your bills and keep your lights on and employ people. So that's why I'm like, for me, the church that I've been going to has just been a handful of people that all want to grow in their relationship with God, and nobody's paid to be there. And I don't know if that's the right way right now, but it's just like, it's what I'm doing right now because it's really hard for me to trust somebody who stands up there at this moment in time. And I know they're being paid to be there. And there's nothing wrong with being paid, but just knowing that that can create a conflict of interest.
100%.
So
100%.
there's a lot of layers. Like I've even proposed this idea to a friend. I was like, yo, what if church was invite only? Like, so it's not advertised. You're not being put through a funnel, like a marketing funnel. You're not like, hey, free pizza. Like maybe then I can get you into this thing, and get them all the way down. What if it's like, now we don't market this thing. It's marketed by the people who go here. They need to go and let people know by having real relationships with them and then invite them.
That's good.
So it's not like, you know what I'm saying? And it sounds elitist when I say it, but the real intention of it is to be like, nah, what if the people of the church acted like the church, kind of the way they do in Asia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to be invited to these underground churches because it's illegal.
Yeah. I like that.
You're getting a little
you're getting a little fuzzy on me. I don't know if it looks fuzzy on your end.
See, that's God trying to correct my false.
No, Andy.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful, man. I think that's really good. I'm going to ask you a hard question. I'm gonna ask you a hard question and then we'll wrap. You mentioned like, well, you know, that can take money out of your pocket. Do you feel like you've been complicit in that institution of like the marketability of Christianity? And are you doing things to mitigate that? I know you've been touring secular venues consistently, which I think is beautiful. I think that's the way it should be, honestly. I think like playing in churches is weird, you know, especially if you're making music not necessarily for the church. It's not worship music.
Yeah.
But like, do you feel like you've been complicit in that, and kind of what are your steps to mitigate some of that?
Yeah, tell me if I'm breaking up because I know it looks like I'm a little goofy right now. But yes, I will say I have played a part in this whole like larger system, and it's created a lot of conflict for me because um, I started building a life and a career and employing people the same way I'm talking about with church. And once you realize, I shouldn't completely be reliant on this system, you have to start to think about all the people that are now reliant on you for income. And you're right, like
Mm-hmm.
your managers, your day-to-day assistants, your tour managers, your DJs, your musicians,
Mm-hmm.
um, your, all that stuff. And so there's certain times when you're like, oh, we need to take the money for an event in order to keep our business afloat, to be able to keep doing what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a tension point. And so that I think that is a problem that most people run into once they start having success, is like now you have to start making compromises to maintain the success.
Mm.
So what I've tried to do is I've tried to get to a place like, this is why I'm investing a lot in real estate and things outside of music, so that I no longer have to be dependent on anything regarding music, and I can just say yes exclusively to the things I want to say yes to and say no to everything else, because my lifestyle is completely unaffected. What I've tried to do by being a Christian who's also an artist is, it's not like I don't want to go to my brothers and sisters who are Christians and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna perform for you guys. I want to put on a show and like encourage and inspire y'all." It's like, it's not like, "Yo, if you're a Christian and you're in church, I don't want anything to do with you." That's not the case at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm also not exclusively marketing myself to like just be seen as that, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's why all my tours for since 20 whatever 15, 16 have been in the House of Blues, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
Fillmore,
Mm-hmm.
Showbox Soto. Like I'm playing all the Wiltern. I'm playing all these venues that are clubs and bars, and I get people that email me, is there gonna be alcohol there? It's like, of course it is. It's a bar.
It's a club, fam.
Yeah, like, and the reason why I'm playing that is so that it's in a neutral ground. So whether
Yes.
or not whatever you believe, you can come there and show up and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, what people don't know is they think like, oh, that's a sellout move. I'm like, no, no. The sellout move would be to do a complete church tour,
Come on.
which immediately allows 1,000 people to be there because they're just members of the church. So it's like, oh, I sold 1,000 tickets. Like, no, you didn't. Your church congregation showed up. Second, they don't take any merch fees. So at a regular club, they're taking 25% of your merch. So if you make 10 grand in merch, 2,500 of it's got to go out to whoever, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At a church, they're like, nah, you keep it all. So it's like you make more money, you get bigger crowds, you get more quote unquote ticket sales.
Yeah.
So me intentionally moving away from that is an attempt to make sure like I'm trying to be in neutral ground so I can
Come
be
on.
able to be accessible for more people.
Mm.
Um, and we're just trying to make sure that like whatever outlets we connect with are people that understand the nuance between faith and art.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to get on your channel, because we know, although you come from like the Christian hip hop scene, you also understand the nuance and the balance of what it means to be a well-rounded human, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's like important that there's channels more like yours, you know what I'm saying, who can move through spaces. And we probably don't agree on everything with this stuff,
Yeah.
but that doesn't matter to me. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's more that the conversation is happening than being right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And when I had Lecrae on, we talked about how he's worth half in the world, a fraction of what his market rate is in the
Sure.
world versus in the church. And he was very transparent about that. And so that to me, because I know the math behind this, because I've thrown shows at the House of Blues, and then I've also thrown shows at my church, and I know what the numbers look like, I get very defensive and almost combative when people are like, they're selling out. It's like, no, fam, they're taking an L. by doing more neutral venues. It's cheaper
Right.
to rent out a church, if not free. Like you said, there's already built-in things. Let's not get into them love offerings, ticket sales plus a love offering. Like, you know, the merch is higher. That you could buy, just proxy, get more people there in the door, because you could bring your little children. You can't really bring little children to a club. There's so many pros. So if the part that people are missing is the real finesse is actually fleecing the church market and taking it for all it's worth. That's the actual, that's the lukewarm person. Like, that's the person that's compromising, not someone like you or Lecrae that are saying, all right, like, I got to fall back from the Rock and Road worship tour. I got to fall back from Winter Jam. Like, okay, I did it for a season. We did it, but I got to really rebuild and go this direction. And that's commendable, bro. And I think, and I wish more people would tell you, would like acknowledge that. But they just don't know how the thing works. They don't understand what this is. They don't understand the mechanics of it. So thank you for breaking that down, because I think it's good to hear from you and not just people, you know, from me, because they won't believe me if you say, man.
And you're even talking to a guy who doesn't have it all figured out himself either, man. I'm not in a situation in my life either where I'm just like, oh, bro, I've made so much money, I don't have to do anything anyone says ever. You don't get.
Yeah.
It's one of those places where you're like, yo, I want to maintain a healthy business, and at the same time, I want to be true to what I believe and move, you know, in a way that is honorable to God, and that also, like, stays in alignment with my vision of, like, not just making songs for the church, but like from the church.
Kingstream Entertainment, Ruslan.
When the culture says do what you love, we respond with love what you do. You may have responsibilities that you aren't passionate about, but loving what you do means being faithful to what's in front of you, committing to excellence as if that were your greatest dream. Colossians 3:23 says, work diligently at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people.
Love what you do. Love what you do.
Kingstream Entertainment, Ruslan.
Yo, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you found it valuable, considering giving it a like and subscribing. This month, I'm releasing the Love What You Do collection, and to celebrate, I'm doing a 3-day virtual event to help us go from learning to love what we do to ultimately doing what we love. By the way, it's free, so hit the link in the description to grab your seat today.